What is going on, 5-9 gamers? My name is Joe Wags, and today I will be your host for your favorite podcast, the Dokkan Battle Podcast. Our podcast is presented to you by 5-9 Gaming. 5-9 Gaming is your source for all things gaming, anime, and entertainment related. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things 5-9. Today's episode is 103. Dokkan got a beast, but it's not Gohan. So, we got a lot to talk about here, obviously focused on Ultimate Gohan and Orange Piccolo, but I can't do it alone. I've got two fantastic guests with me today. So first off, my first guest thinks Kid Goku's EZA is better than Broly's EZA. Minato, how you doing today?
Well, it is first and foremost, and secondly, I'm doing well. I hate Broly, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it. It's coming up. It's coming up. And then next up, we have, last but not least, the SBR King, and he's pushing the Heroes agenda. The Masked Ninja, how you doing today?
Yo, how's it going, everybody? I'm happy to be back. It's been a while. I'm quite excited to talk about all the new stuff. So, yeah, happy to be here.
All right. Well, our first topic, we're just going to jump into kind of the highlight units here. So we got an LR Ultimate Gohan, and we've got a Orange Piccolo, Power Awakening, and then he goes into Orange Piccolo LR unit. Before we even talk about the units, let's just talk about the pulls. I'm sorry to say, Minato, I'm going to start with you. Let's just get the bad out of the way. How are the pulls going for you?
Pretty awful. Piccolo's Manor, I'm 2,250 stones deep without Piccolo. I did get 2 pans, I guess, that's fine. Yeah. I remember my highlight is 6 transforming Gokus, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think the key why I haven't pulled Piccolo yet is because I haven't gotten PyCon. So I haven't gotten every single unit on the banner.
Wow.
Right? So you remember, the rules, you have to get every single unit on the banner, and then you get the new unit, right? So that's with me. PyCon is not showing up. The green dudes just don't like me, I guess.
Right.
Gohan, I'm 750 in, so definitely not nearly as deep, but I don't have Gohan. I got 1 Goten and Trunks, and I got a fair amount of the other featured units. So sometimes just shaft happens. It's okay, Even though I went 1,000 in Carnival Goku, and then I went 1,000 in Yamcha, didn't get them either. That means the anniversary is gonna be good, right?
Yeah,
it better be,
definitely,
man.
Definitely.
Wait, so did you not get Pan either?
No,
he got 2 pans.
I got Pan.
Okay,
I got 2 pans.
I was gonna say. Ooh.
Yeah, that would have been that would have been nasty. Actually, my last multis were my second pan, so I only had 1 pan in basically over 2,000 stones too. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's not very fun there. Ningen, how were your summons?
Definitely better than that.
Piccolo second multi.
Yeah, I got Piccolo second multi, so 100 stones for Piccolo, but. The flip side to that was it took me 1,600 to get 1 copy of Gohan.
Oh, sucks to hear.
So I think in total I'm at about... I actually didn't keep count. I did kind of wail out a little bit. But I think I'm somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 stones across both banners. But I do have them both with 2 dupes. So once I got that second dupe for Gohan, I was happy to stop summoning completely. I don't like to summon past 2 dupes when the unit first comes out, because when they come back on another banner, I'm sure I'm going to pull them multiple times before I pull the new unit that time. So I did only pull 1 Goten and Trunks. I think my pan is at like 90% or something, but I actually got quite lucky. I didn't pull like all of the other featured units. But I definitely had a lot of the weird multis. I did get to see the Gamma's watching the monitor rewind.
That is a
thing,
sick animation,
cool,
by the way. Yeah.
I do like the new animations. No.
Yeah, Minato, you kind of have to pull the new unit to get that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true, huh? My bad.
Yeah, I do like the new summon animations thing. I think it's pretty cool. I love the team up with Piccolo as like the equivalent of the Super Vegito fusion. I think that's awesome. But
it's very cool.
Yeah, not too bad overall in whale terms, I guess. But
sure. Yeah, so Ningen, I'm about where you are in terms of total stones spent. I think I'm at about 3,500 stones, and in total, I got 3 Gohans and I rainbowed Piccolo. So
I've seen your Rainbow Piccolo on my friends list. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I rainbowed my boy Piccolo. Now here's the thing:
nice.
Overall, it sounds good, but I actually went through a really bad stretch. So I was also second multi Piccolo, and it was actually my 5-9 relay summon, which was crazy. So I got Piccolo really early, but then I did 2K stones and only got 1 more Piccolo. And in that 2K, I think I did like 1 rotation on Gohan, didn't get Gohan. And And then I did another 1K stones with no Piccolo, no Gohan. So I was at 3K with only like 2 Piccolos. But then I did 300 more stones and got 3 more Piccolos and rainbowed them. And then I did like another 200 stones on Gohan and just got 3 Gohans. Like it was like I got a Goku Black, then like a nothing multi, and then the next multi was the Gammas watching the replay. So I got like 2 Gohans and like 100 stones. So I just got super lucky because I did not put that much on Gohan. I would say I probably am like 500 stones total on Gohan.
Wow.
And I got 3 copies. So I got super lucky on the Gohan. So.
It's like grinding his teeth into dust on the other side of the call.
I know. Well, yeah, and I only got 1 Goten and Trunks. Thank God. That we'll talk about it, but not a fan. And I got 2 Pans total, which I'm fine with that for Pans. So I feel bad, and that's, the ultimate discussion is Dokkan really does need a pity, because someone like me shouldn't be able to go in and like Rainbow and get 79% and then Minato gets like none. That's so like unfair. So Minato, I wish I could give you a copy or 2, like legit. I would totally do that. That's terrible.
Sometimes things happen, you can't really do anything about it. You just got to sit there and take it.
Yeah. And what you hope is that over time it evens itself out, right? Because like I had, when STR Bojack came out originally, I did 2K stones just to get 1 copy, and then another unit will come out and I'll do 800 and rainbow them. So hopefully over time it evens out.
I did really well on Kid Goku and the Gammas, right? I got I did. I'm sure. I'm not sure if you actually saw my summons, you guys, but I did really well on them. I got 80% Gamma 2, and then not 80%, 90% Gamma 2.
80%.
I got
you ran out of potential orbs. 80%.
Yeah. I got Kid Goku with 2 dupes as well, right? Nice. Both of those under 1,000 stones for each, so that's pretty lucky. Good. I remember during the 7th anniversary back in February, I rainbowed the LR Gods in 600 stones. So it's like, I've had luck this year. It's been back and forth, but I feel like always December, I usually get shafted. I haven't gotten the December LR since Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I always go like around 1,000 stones with those banners and the double rates and the LRs featured, but I never got them. So it's like, well, I was like, this year is the difference. No, it's not.
Right. Yeah.
It do be like that though. I really do.
Right. Well, Minato, I'm crossing my fingers hoping for you to have ultimate anniversary luck. Rainbow them both in 1,000 stones, something like that. Go crazy.
True. You're right.
Let's get it done.
All
right. Well, let's jump into we'll jump into our actual thoughts. So the new units we're going to talk about are the Ultimate Gohan, the Piccolo, and then Goten and Trunks, and then the Pan unit. And by the way, if you guys didn't get my title, the beast of this celebration is Orange Piccolo, because he is an absolute beast. Ningen, we'll start with you. Tell us about your experience with all 4 of these new units and what you think of them.
So Piccolo is the best unit in the game. I will hear no arguments to the contrary. I think there is even a small gap between him and whoever you think is number 2. I don't really mind, because we had what a lot of people were referring to for a while as the big 3, which is Vegeta and Trunks, Final Form Cooler, and Carnival Goku, and most people had them as the top 3 regardless of the different order. And I genuinely think that there is a small gap between Piccolo and those 3. He is just absolutely ridiculous. There's a meme that I tweeted. If someone commented on my video about the face that I made at a certain timestamp, and it was because it was when I was doing my 55% showcase, and it was turn 3, so it was obviously his second appearance, and he had like 750k defense, and obviously at that point on turn 3, that means he still has guard as well as 20% damage reduction. So it's like, yeah, guards for a couple of turns. He has damage reduction. He gets hit to get built up. So if you get lucky and there's a lot of attacks in slot 1, even on the first turn, he can be putting out like 10 million attack, whilst also being almost invincible, like especially post super attack. And then I've seen a lot of people saying that, he has that secondary part of his passive, the if you drop below 30% HP and he's been hit 7 times, you get a full heal, and then he gets an extra 30% damage reduction for the rest of the battle. I've seen people say that obviously that can be annoying to get sometimes, because 30% is a bit of an annoying threshold. But like, even without that, he's the best unit in the game. So if you get that, that's like the cherry on top. And another thing that I don't see a lot of people mentioning it enough, I think a super underrated part of his kit is the fact that when he gets hit, he gives the rest of the rotation 2 extra ki. And obviously, we'll talk about him in more detail. I'll let Minato handle that a bit more because I know he loves him. He put him in so many video titles. But that 2 extra ki from Piccolo getting hit in slot 1 can often be the difference between Gohan actually getting 20 ki or not. So I think that aspect of his passive is really good. And is definitely not to be underrated. And then, of course, on top of all of that other stuff that he does, he then also has the best giant form / rage mode in the entire game. Built-in additionals, 2 extra ki per orb. He needs, because obviously the giant forms, they start off with 6 ki. He needs 3 tech orbs to get an 18 ki super or 6 normal orbs. It's actually insane. And then, he does the additionals. So I gave mine a decent mix of like additional and crit, because obviously in his, I say base form, I guess, he doesn't have any way to additional. So I wanted him to be able to do that if possible. So I gave him a decent mix of both. And then, there's times where in that one turn of the giant mode, he'll super attack like 7 times and most of them will be crits. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that if you have a full superhero rotation, you can do that on turn 3. So he just absolutely fodderizes all the content in the game. And partially, I guess that's because for Cell Max, they gave the damage boost to the superhero units. But like, I know people, like one of my friends at work, one of the only IRL friends that I have that plays Dokkan, couldn't beat Cell Max. And then once Piccolo's come out, he hasn't pulled him, but just by using a movie heroes team with a Piccolo friend, he then beat it on like the first try. So he is absolutely insane. Gohan is a bit of a disappointment. I don't want to talk for too long. Like I said, I'll let Minato cover Gohan a bit more. Gohan, I think, whilst disappointing, at his best is actually really good. It's just unfortunately very inconsistent to get him at his best. And then Pan, I think, is good, but she's another one of those like dodge or die units in the hardest content, which, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Like, it's annoying sometimes to pin all the hopes of your run on, if this unit doesn't dodge, then I die, especially when we have content that you can only do 3 times a day. And then when it comes to Goten and Trunks, whilst they are not great, I don't think they're as bad as people make out. Like on a full superhero team, when they get their full buffs, they're okay. And I think one use I found for them is if you're running the full like superheroes team, the fact that they do orb change can be helpful for Gohan as well. But obviously they're not that good. They're the worst of the 4, obviously. Like Pan is definitely quite useful. And then so Gohan, bit of a shame that Beast is only the active skill. I have to say, like, I'm not that surprised. I know people got their hopes up quite significantly, but considering how little he's in the movie, I'm not surprised that it's only an active skill. But I do wish that if it was gonna only be an active skill, that it was a little bit more powerful. But like I say, I'll let Minato take it from there.
I mean, they could have made it like a costume change, right? He used active skill costume change as Beast going after same kit. Who cares? Just make it Beast going. So, right? I think that's the most important thing. He doesn't have to do this exact moves from the movie. He could do other moves, right? Gohan doesn't even do that Kamehameha in the movie like that. That's from the 10th Z movie. that's from the Second Coming Broly movie, man. They can make up animations. Although it was a little expected based on how the IDs were ordered, right? Someone on Twitter, FTW, they were saying, they were talking about the IDs and how there wasn't enough space to, like, get too many. They accurately predicted that Piccolo was going to have a giant transformation and Gohan was just going to be his active skill, and it turned out to be what it was. That's why there was this whole, are they transforming or not before they came out? Even though a lot of people assumed they were going to transform, and they just didn't, right? So that's kind of the thing there.
The classic truth tweet that has been retweeted back at him a million times at this point.
Yeah. What I will say about Gohan is, again, like Negan said, I think he's very good once you actually can set him up. I think he could be even like a top 5 unit if he's actually able to get his full passive, 24 keys, fully built up. But it's not really consistent. They messed up on 2 fronts, and I think the first front is key. Him with his key issues is very prominent. Doesn't have a really good key link. He has shocking speed, and that's his only key link. Shocking speed has potential, I guess, but it's been like since what, like 2018, 2017, since that was a main key link, right, for super class units. I mean, he has it with like Gamma 1 and 2, right, but it's like I don't think it's enough with the units you want to actually run him with. I don't know, you would prefer probably to run him with, like, Vegeta and Trunks, the LR gods, right, the actual best units in the game. And you can't do that, so that's very unfortunate. Now, another thing is his additional super attack. It's still a 70% chance when you hit 20 key. I think you even brought this up yourself again, Ningen, but it's like the gods and the Super Saiyan 4s from basically over a year ago at this point, right? We're about to hit the 8th anniversary in JP. They get a guaranteed additional super attack at 20 key. Even the LR gods, they get the guaranteed additional super attack when they transform at 16 key, if I'm not mistaken. Or it might be 20 key, but
I think it's still 20. But.
Yeah, the point is they get the guaranteed additional super attack, which I feel that's huge. That is a major difference, because even though a 70% chance is a high chance, it's like you can still miss it sometimes. People always talk about, oh, UI Goku doesn't dodge, even Blue Gogeta is not dodging for me, right? And it's like that can happen multiple turns in a row where you just don't get the super attack. Then that stops Gohan from being building up, and then he just ends up being a lot weaker. And then by the time his guard runs out, he just gets creamed defensively. He has a high chance to nullify Ki Blast super attacks, but again, why does he have a high chance when you've got the tech androids are over a year old to have a guaranteed blast nullification? Like, I imagine if he had a guaranteed blast nullification, that would be so good for him. Or maybe he got 2 key per key sphere obtained. Maybe had same lineage. There's just a lot that they could have changed about this guy to fix his consistency. His numbers aren't bad. It's just his consistency is not there. And sure, maybe you could set up a team build that, like, oh, I always get the 20 key plus with them. You're not always gonna be able to get that, and it's like at that point you're probably sacrificing a better team for Gohan, and then your team would be better off just not running Gohan. Right, that's the thing. If we're talking about, like, how good the teams could be or stuff like that. Which is why at that point, at least me personally, I think Gohan would be like a top 10 unit in the game, more or less, but he'd be in like the lower half rather than the higher half. I've seen some Gohan defenders out there, and I will say, my last comment, one thing people do forget, I would say, is his active skill does basically activate those key requirements. So when he uses the active skill, for the rest of the turn, he has the super effective and the additional. Even if he doesn't hit 20 key, you can use the active skill, you get 15 key with him. He still will do the additional and be super effective because you hit 24 key technically. But you can still not get the additional super and be like, well, that sucks, right? But that's pretty much it. I like his leader skill. I think it's cool. But
I think the biggest disappointment about him from an actual unit perspective, because people can be as disappointed as they want that he doesn't actually properly transform, and that's to a certain extent it's fair enough, but then at the same time, like, it's an expectation that people created themselves, right? Like, they never said that he was going to transform. I mean, they just they told us that we were going to get Beast Gohan in Dokkan, and we have Beast Gohan in Dokkan. It's just only as an active skill. So whilst that is disappointing, that was an expectation that people kind of set themselves up for. But the thing that is disappointing about him is, like we've said, is when he's good, he's really, really good. But when he's bad, he's really bad. And the fact that he's inconsistent, it's like the fact that you can have an LR released now that gets extra key per key sphere and you still sometimes can't even get his 18 key super it's just mind-blowing to me, like, his design. I don't... Obviously, it wouldn't fix everything, but like you said about shocking speed, like, just give him prepared for battle instead of shocking speed, and he's instantly better. Because the problem is, less flexibility means less fun. For me, anyway, or for a lot of people, when it comes to team building. Because if Gohan had better links for other Saiyan and Hybrid Saiyan units, then you could just make a random team. It's like, oh, I'm going to shove him on my Goku family team, or I'm going to shove him on my Kamehameha team. But because to make him be really good, you kind of have to build the team around him, then it, like, ruins that extra level of, like, flexibility in team building that other units have. Because you think of a unit like LR Final Form Cooler, that has a lot of very common villain links, you can kind of just throw him on any team that he's on category wise, and you'll be able to use units that will pair well together with him without specifically building the team around him. So just, yeah, quite a few separate fumbles along the way have made him probably one of the most disappointing releases of the entire year.
It's like, when's the last like Dokkan Festival you remember that has key issues? AGLR Gohan. Like in Cell, it's been that long. There are 2019 units. LRs don't get key issues like that. Not anymore. And I've always noticed these units that want to hit 24 key for restriction, they always have like key issues. Like, has anyone else noticed that, or just me? I remember we had
because STR Turles is like that, right?
Yeah, we have STR Turles, even the old Exchange Vegeta and Nappa, Goku and Piccolo, right? They have issues hitting 24 key at times, right? There's always like, they make it hard to get that, and it's like all he gets is super effective, and while that's very powerful, it's like not like that great to restrict it behind 24 key.
Yeah.
It's like even when he gets his full passive, is he like really like best unit in the game? No. So
he's up there, but yeah, he's not like, because on his best turns, from the various screenshots I've seen, and I know some of this is like with support, but on his best turns fully built up, he's doing like it's like 18 million followed by two like 14 million that are all effective against all types, and then on that turn he's going to have over like 1 million defense, and it's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's like top 5, maybe even top 3 in the game level. It's just that how often is he actually like that?
Yeah,
which is the most disappointing part.
I was actually talking with Truth about it the other day, and it's like, was it whatever? But regardless, he said something like, they're more like a clip unit, like a unit you clip and you're like, oh, look guys, they're so good, right? And then it's like your 20th attempt. Right? Yeah, right. People love doing that, but that's all I'd say about Gohan. I think he's good, and I'm glad people are having fun with him still. If you're having fun with Gohan, you enjoy him, you think he's really good, kudos to you, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the game is fun. Use your favorite characters, and that's pretty much it. If you find a build you say you're getting consistently 24 key, you know what? Congrats. I hope you're having a good time.
It's just the thing as well, is the units having restrictions should always have like a relative payoff, right? So like, if Gohan's going to have key issues and then he has a special ability when you get 20 key, like that ability should be really good, not a 70% chance to get an additional super, which then when you don't get it, it just feels extra bad, because it's like, oh yes, I managed to get 20 key for him this turn. Oh, he did an additional normal attack, and like that would be counterbalanced. But that's why there's so many little errors or mistakes, or whatever you want to call it, with the way he was designed, because the 70% chance to additional super wouldn't be as bad if he built up his passive by attacking, but he has to super attack.
Right.
So those two things combined, it means if you miss the super, like Minato mentioned, he only has those turns of guard at the beginning. Like, on paper, with a few minor changes, his design is like a perfect archetype, right? Because his guard is supposed to protect him while he builds up. So ideally, you're supposed to get all of those supers in those first couple of turns. But then they just decided that A, it's difficult for him to get key, and then B, even if you get the key, he might not even additional super attack. So
I mean,
it's such a weird, like, so many weird choices.
It's like,
I don't know.
I've seen a lot of people say it almost feels like he was meant to transform with how his kid's looking. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but you can kind of tell. It's like, imagine if he had a transformation, they fixed those little issues he had before. Like right now, if he's Ultimate Gohan, like, it makes sense to me. It almost feels like his guard should have been like 5 turns, or additional guaranteed, or get more key. There's those 3 like kind of things that he's so close to being like, oh, he's best unit in the game, right? Which I feel like what everyone wanted. But I don't know. Maybe some people are setting too unrealistic situations. Not really, but well, I don't know. Is it too unrealistic to want LR Beast Gohan come out best unit in the game, right? No.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's not unrealistic to want it to happen, because obviously Gohan is a fan favorite. He's like, it's the penultimate thing of the new movie, so we obviously want it to be super hype. But like, I've seen people say that, like, with without really any sort of justification, like he should be the best unit in the game. Just because Beast Gohan is so cool and is the most powerful character in the series at the moment or whatever, therefore he should be the best unit in the game. And it's like, no, not necessarily, but he definitely should be better than what he is, in my opinion.
And
So,
I would say people are calling him bad. We're like trashing on him, but he's still really good. Like there's like a baseline. We're comparing him to like the other best units in the game. This guy's
Yeah.
still very powerful, and if you think he's bad, that is wrong. He's still
Yeah.
good. He just has consistency issues.
yeah, I still have him as like a top 10 unit in the game. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you're a top 10, you're definitely not a bad unit. Like, you cannot
Yeah.
be a bad unit in the top
Yeah.
10,
You know,
right?
we've been taking
So-
over the whole time, Joe. What are you thinking?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to let you guys were on a roll, but I agree with pretty much most of what you guys said. The big thing with Piccolo for me is he kind of activates easy mode in the game. It's the first time playing the game since Red Zone's come out that I actually feel like Red Zone is easy. Like, I can literally like bring almost the same team build and all the difficult content and just sweep it. First try, Cell Max, easiest Cell Max I've ever done in my life. The one thing too about Piccolo's orange transformation, I think it exemplifies why the game has always been afraid of giant form transformations and why they're always so bad and they really undertune them, is because they knew that, and this is what Orange Piccolo is showing, as soon as you make that good, it breaks the game, because it's not just that your giant form, it's that your giant form and you can't take damage, but you're also doing damage to the bosses, because normal giant forms is like, oh yeah, you're invincible, that's so busted, but it doesn't matter if you take down like a quarter of a health bar, like you're barely doing anything to the boss, you're just essentially stalling out. But with Orange Piccolo, you are actually doing a lot of damage to the boss, and Piccolo is literally giving you 2 to 3 Ghost Ushers per transformation, and if you get back-to-back Orange Piccolos, then you're doing 4 to 6 turns of Ghost Ushers while doing damage. It is ridiculously busted, because it doesn't matter if they try to debuff you, it doesn't matter if you can't dodge, as long as you're dealing damage, you're crushing the bosses, right? Yeah. The other thing about Orange Piccolo, it's actually a way to negate debuffs. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but like, I went into Cell Max, he locked my rotation in a really bad way. You go Orange Piccolo, he's a mask for your characters. You can then set your rotation. So I went into Orange Piccolo, the debuff goes away. I set my rotation how I want. You get out of Orange Piccolo, you have the same turn again, but my rotation was set correctly. He tried locking again. It didn't matter because my rotation was set. You get sealed, same thing. You go into Orange Piccolo, he doesn't care. He's not sealed anymore. So even as like a debuff negation, like that is another thing people don't talk about with Orange Piccolo that is actually kind of busted. He's just loaded, like these characters that come packed in with like pseudo items, right? When a character has a sensu bean like Yajirobe, character can do a Ghost Usher like the Android 17 and 18, right? Pycon, these are busted things. Well, Piccolo's got like all of that. Like he's got a sensu bean. He's got 3 turns of Ghost Ushers, right? He's got essentially the sensu bean negate effects, because when he goes Orange Piccolo, you can't be debuffed. Like, it's crazy. Like, he is so ridiculously busted. And I do agree. I believe it was Monado or one of you said he's kind of on a different tier. And I get that, because that Orange Piccolo is so busted. And he's probably the best 55% unit in the game, because he still gets Orange Piccolo at 55%. It's going to be a lot harder to crit an additional, but it's still super busted just having it. And when, Ninga and your buddy can go into Cell Max with just the friend Piccolo and beat it for the first time, that tells you, that is a sign that this unit is overly busted, right?
Yeah, well, it's not only Cell Max as well. It's like literally, it was funnily enough, it was today while I was at work, because it is my friend from work. He went through every single red zone stage, whether it was movie bosses, GT, or Wicked Bloodline, every single red zone stage that he hadn't been able to beat yet, and then just beat it with movie heroes with a Piccolo friend. So.
Yep. Yeah, I've basically been doing the Orange Piccolo world tour on my channel, going through all of the hardest red zones, and I'm literally beating them on the first try. And now I'm doing a series of beating every stage of the God event first try, no item. And granted, God event has definitely been power cred, but it still isn't like, you can't just waltz in there with any team still, right? And it's just no problem, no issues, don't have to worry about typing. You just walk in and you beat the game. Like, Piccolo is kind of easy mode. I agree with pretty much what you guys all said about Ultimate Gohan. The one thing is I think his leader skill might be one of the like most flexible 200% leader skills in the game. When you've got superhero and hybrid Saiyan, and then but on that extra 30% getting bond to parent and child, like this is a huge roster. So It's good and it's bad because that means you have to run Gohan as the lead, which I definitely don't like having two Gohans on the team. When you've got that many units with key issues, it is a struggle. Whereas having two Piccolos is like immensely better. So I'm always running the Piccolo team. And if I'm running Gohan, he's just a one-of on other teams. But running Gohan as the lead, I'm really not a fan of that, to be honest, right?
Yeah, I think I actually agree. That was something I forgot to mention, but Gohan definitely is one of those units. I feel like kind of like STR Goku and Gohan, where it's like it's so much easier to manage them if you only have one of them on the team.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and like Gohan, I kind of he kind of to me feels like an LR version of Gamma 2. The only thing is that Gamma 2 has way better linking partners and setups. Like if Gohan had his own version of Gamma 1, he would be immensely better, right? If they did an LR Carnival Beast Gohan with like a 6 out of 7 link set with him that maybe gave key to the rotation, like dude, this Gohan would be cooking at that time, right? He's gonna be crazy. But it's how long is it going to take to get that best partner for him, right?
Yeah.
Anniversary Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, shocking speed, Rainbow Orb Changer, 3 key, 58% attack and defense support. Easy.
All right, I'm writing it down. It's coming. We're going to talk 8th anniversary at the end, but yeah.
Because Dokkan has done that in the past, and I know other gacha games have done that as well, where it's like a unit comes out and then shortly afterwards a unit comes out who then makes that first unit even better, right? Like in Dokkan terms, it'll be because they have loads of links or they provide support or something like that. The only problem is they have to make sure that they do it before that Gohan gets like power crept out, which obviously, considering what we've talked about his heights, like that will obviously not be for a while. But we don't want one of those kind of like Bojack situations, right, where STR Bojack comes out, in LR Bojack can kind of still hold it down, but not in the hardest content. And then by the time the Int Bojack gets his EZA, the STR one is then slightly outdated. So it's like, hopefully they do bring out that unit that can really unlock his full potential, but hopefully they don't wait too long to do it. So.
Right. And then I'll just really quickly, I really like Pan, but it's like you guys said, she's kind of like a dodge or nothing unit. She's very hard to use in events where you can't dodge. I was persistent though, because I was doing my Orange Piccolo World Tour and Pan is on all my team builds, and I brought her into Broly, and I still no item run it in Red Zone Broly, even though she can dodge. Well, I got lucky. There was RNG there, but I got through that sucker. But the Trunks and Goten, the big problem I have with them, like the one saving grace they have is the orb changing, but other than that, just in general, banner units that are just kind of meant to be damage units never work because those damage units, you want to run them on rotation, and at that point then you have to compare him to Dokkan Fest LRs and Carnival LRs, and he just can't compete with that, right? So it's just, he's kind of a throwaway banner unit, to be honest. Like sure, he can put up numbers, and if you're like desperate for team building, sure, but like there's just not going to be a place for him on a team, so he really does feel like a throwaway to me, which is unfortunate. He kind of reminds me of that STR Broly, that banner unit STR Broly, like same thing, like just the throwaway unit. And I was actually using him recently with the EZA Broly, who we'll talk about in a minute, and I was just super unimpressed. Like I'm sorry, but yeah, the banner units really, they have to be support or utility to be busted. Like they gotta be. That's pretty much what they gotta do. But let's move on. We spent a lot of time on them, but they deserve the time. That was the very cool top tier hype units. Something else that we have on both Global and JP is we did get a set of free-to-play Gamma units, and then we've got the movie Gohan, the free-to-play AGL one that got his awakening. Now, I'll just say right away, it did get spoiled on Global's data download that he is getting an EZA. So I kind of want to know your guys' thoughts just on the units as they stand now. If you're hopeful for what this Gohan's going to get on his EZA, and do we think the Gammas are even going to awaken, because they're kind of considered login units, right? So Ningen, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the free-to-play Gammas, and then this Gohan that just got an awakening.
I mean, the free-to-play Gammas are okay. I mean, what can you expect from like unawakened, like free-to-play SSRs, really? Although I say that, but to be fair, like Gohan before he got his awakening was actually like semi-decent, like for a free-to-play unit that doesn't have an awakening. So I think his awakening is actually pretty good. In the run that I did to showcase him, I think on his best turn, this is including like the AGL Kid Gohan active skill, which obviously gives a big defensive buff. But like He's at like 450k defense or something, which for a free-to-play unit is pretty good. The only problem, I guess, is he doesn't have any sort of extra defense raising. Like once you max out his passive, he doesn't like raise defense on super or anything like that. So when he gets in Easy A, if they give him a decent super attack effect, even if it's just raising defense for one turn, he doesn't have to like stack or anything like that. But if they give him the raising defense on super, and then obviously the fact that he's going to get Easy A stats, I feel like he potentially will be one of the best like non-LR free-to-play units. I definitely think he could be pretty good, but yeah, the Gammas, I mean, unless they awaken, I think the only real use for them really is if you got one of the summonable ones and not the other one, and then you can run like the free-to-play one, but you still... They're probably not good. Even in that instance, I probably wouldn't run them on like main rotation. But if you had like, say you pulled Gamma 1 and not Gamma 2, you could run him on rotation and have the free-to-play Gamma 2 as a floater potentially. But then, of course, the downside to doing that is that then the free-to-play one is nowhere near as good if you don't have the counterpart on rotation, because they get that extra special ability that the summonable ones don't. They don't need the other one on rotation. They obviously work a lot better if they are, because of all the links and the fact they support each other and everything. But the free-to-play ones kind of need to be kept together. And it's always weird when they do that with these kind of units, because like one thing that springs to mind immediately is like the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4s, where they bring out these two units that clearly seem to be designed to be run together, but if you ran them as a rotation, neither of them are really good enough to be in slot 1. So you don't really want to run them as a rotation. So yeah, unless they get an awakening, I can't really see. I mean, I can't really speak as well, not being a free-to-play player, but for me personally, like I did that, I recorded a showcase and then I will never use them again. So
right. I'm sure Jay Fanto will get some use out of them, right? He'll find a way. Minato, your thoughts on these free-to-play units?
I haven't used them. Gohan seems good, but I mean, I just don't care. I'm going to wait for Gohan's EZA.
Yeah.
I don't want to give any final thoughts. It's like, well, he could be better. He could be the same. We don't know. They could do whatever they want with his EZA. They could give him a scouter. Like, who knows? And then he could be like one of the best units in the game by far. Or they could be like, he gets 2% extra attacking defense, and that's it. Right. So that's why I'm not really like, I don't really care about them right now, I guess is the thing. I don't care about SSR free to play units. Like, let's be honest here. No one does. No one cares about the World Tournament units when they don't awaken. Like, for the most part, they're just not going to be good enough. They're not going to be designed to be good enough. If they get awakening, then I'll be interested. But for now, I just don't care. I'll be really honest. I know, that's me speaking as a obviously as a person that like spends on the game, uses the most summonable units, and I kind of always look at things like, okay, what could this unit provide to the team that or doesn't already have like a really strong role that's fit. And this Gohan is like, he could be good, but there's many units that do his role but better. That's why hopefully when he EZAs, he gets something special to him that will be like, okay, there's not many units that Rainbow Orb chains on the superhero team, or there's not many units that, could provide a scouter, or maybe like he's a really nice dodging unit in slot 3, right? They could do interesting things that sometimes they choose not to do. So that's why I'm holding off. I mean, Gohan seems good though. It's pretty easy.
It's pretty wild that he has one link with the new Gohan or something. Yeah, so they're not even good to be run together.
It's really weird. Yeah, he has it's literally just all in the family, right? I
think potentially, yeah.
All in the family, and then does the new Gohan even have a Kamehameha? I have no idea. I guess I could check. Right, I actually have the wiki pulled up here.
I think he does. Yeah,
he does. Yeah, so they share two links.
It's like two links. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really weird about that. I mean, if I were to change anything about this Gohan, the free-to-play one of EZAs, give him greatly raised attack and defense for the turn, and then like Ningen said, he got up to like 400k plus defense. If you had a 50% raise on there, easily 600k plus defense, and at that point it's like, okay, it's actually good for a free-to-play unit. He can take normals. You could be comfortable running him in there and not worry about him taking 100k plus normals, right? So hopefully we'll see how he goes. He has potential for sure.
Yeah, I haven't used the Gohan much yet because I'm kind of just waiting on the EZA before I record a showcase. And the free-to-play Gammas, I kind of agree with Ningen, where I could see a player who like maybe pulled Gamma 1 but not Gamma 2, and you could just use the free-to-play one to help activate his links and make him look good. And if you're running just Dokkan events, legendary events, like you could definitely have some fun with them on the team. If you're going to run them in red zone, though, you pretty much have to give them full dodge builds and just pray. That's kind of what you'd have to do with these free-to-play units. So, yeah, we'll see. I really do hope they do awaken the Gammas because I think they would be a really fun option. I have so many people, like, on my Discord, or even just people watch my YouTube videos because I've been really highlighting my favorite Piccolo team build, and it involves a rotation of the Gammas. And I have so many people commenting. They're like, man, I wish I got the Gammas. When are the Gammas coming back? I really want the Gammas. And so it'd be nice if at least these free-to-play ones ended up being decent for people to use who didn't pull them. But we'll have to wait and see.
I'm shocked you use a Piccolo build that doesn't have Piccolo on both rotations.
No. So what I do is I do Piccolo with STR Piccolo, and then I love the Gamma rotation, and then I just float the other Piccolo. And I don't know why it always happens that like I'm on the last phase, my Orange Piccolo turn, and I've got both Piccolos on the same rotation. So I literally do back-to-back Orange Piccolos, and the fight is done. And it actually does not work out poorly that way. It works out pretty good. So I don't mind that. Now we have another unit that we're going to talk about, the AGL Gogeta. Now he's worked his way into my team build, so that's another thing we'll talk about. But before we jump into these new EZAs, just really quickly, we do have a New Year's banner, and I believe it will still be live when people watch this. Maybe not. I don't know how many days it has left on it, but there was a New Year's banner. What are our thoughts on the banner, and if we think people should summon on it or not? So Minato, just quickly your thoughts.
Skip. The end.
Ningen.
Skip the end.
Skip the end. Yes.
I would say actually one actual thing. If I'm memes aside, well, kind of not a meme, but the first step actually seems pretty solid because you can throw 20 stones, snag STR Cooler, easy STR Namigoku, right? There's some value in that first step, but the issue is that a lot of these steps are units that have easy 8 already, and they suck because of the power creep that we got during the 7th anniversary. Next year, this banner will have all the actual relevant units on it still, but then have all the 2023 units that, you'll be like, okay, these units are actually, fitting in the meta, and then a lot of the units from 2022 would have probably aged solidly, right? I mean, I don't think someone like, I forgot who's on the banner exactly, but it's just like no one necessarily would know worthy, but they're still good. I don't think they're going to be like completely useless by the time we reach the next year. It's just, I don't know. Just kidding. Radisson, come on.
Yeah, because the thing is, the New Year's banner always used to be a case of if you were a newer player, then it obviously had a lot of value because it had like a lot of the Dokkan Fest exclusives that were released like earlier in the year and from the end of the year before. And so obviously the more of a whale you are or the more units you get, the less value it has. But the problem is with this year, like Minato sort of already mentioned, is the fact that like most of the units on the banner at this point are almost completely irrelevant in like the hardest content. So if you're a newer player and you do like a full rotation, you could get a bunch of Dokkan Fest exclusives that you didn't have before, but then still potentially be unable to beat like the red zone stages that you can't beat at the moment.
I would say, sorry to interrupt, but if you're like an actual new player, there's definitely value here because you say you have a brand new account. You're starting off, you can snag Tech Vegeta Blue, Transforming Goku, a really good starter leader, and then you really set up your teams to start like farming Dokkan events, stuff like that. But like if you're like an older player, like even like, what's, especially on global, they took off like the 2 best units probably on the banner. Obviously, Golden Frieza is not on the global version yet, so he can't even be there. Then they took off LR Goku Black and Zamasu off the global version, and I presume it's because they have the EZA banner, so you can't even get Goku Black and Zamasu, which is again probably the 2nd best unit on the banner. Yeah, right. I would say he's better than Ginyu, Mach, Vegeta. And it's just like, well, that's just a pretty big blow to the global version of the banner.
Yeah,
but you pull physical Raditz, you win the game. Like that's all you need is that physical Raditz.
I'm tired of the Raditz joke. Let's stop that, please. Oh my god, I'm tired of it.
Who said it?
Raditz Defender, if you're watching it, delete your account. I'm just kidding, but Bruddy, come on.
Sorry, Ningen, I cut you off.
Well, no, I was just going to say where I was going to get on to kind of what Minato said. So yeah, he interrupted me to say what I was going to say anyway. But
Stole your
Sure.
spotlight. Let's go.
if you are a brand new player, then obviously there is a lot of value there because you can potentially make a whole bunch of different teams, and you are going to be able to get through a large chunk of the content in the game. But if you're somebody who's in that kind of gap, well, actually, I guess it's anywhere after being a brand new player, even if you're at sort of a lower level and then all the way up to being a whale. The problem is the banner just doesn't really have units that are of like a huge amount of value. Because even if you are on that lower end of the scale of whaling or like having an older account or whatever, and there are a bunch of units on the banner that you're missing, that's kind of what I was getting at with what I said before, is that chances are you're at a level where the only stages you can't beat are probably like a few of the red zone stages, and you're probably not going to get much out of that banner that's going to help you with those last stages. Potentially you might, obviously, like there might be some dupes or something that might help push you over the edge, but it definitely doesn't have a huge amount of value. The only thing I think is a bit of a dry sort of thing, if you're like, the Gohan and Piccolo banners are pretty terrible. So it's hard to encourage summoning on them, but then of course the Piccolo banner has the best unit in the game. So it's like, I would probably much rather do 2 rotations on Piccolo's banner where you're not really you're not guaranteed to get anything, but you are potentially going to get the best unit in the game, as opposed to doing the full rotation on the step up banner and then not really get anything that useful.
If you're on JP,
so I think
you can make
new
it
players
simple.
only, really. And it's the anniversary soon.
JP,
Yeah.
the anniversary,
So-
yeah. Skip
Yeah,
that.
anniversary JP. I mean, even
Yeah,
on
don't-
global, save for the next 6 months for anniversary. You'll be probably
Yeah.
really good.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's 3. Is it still? I assume it's still 300 stones for the full rotation. Is that?
Yep.
Uh,
and
isn't it 200?
or- It's 200, but
Oh,
and
it's
you can do it 3
200.
times, I think.
That's it. Yeah. So
So
that's
that's how you
like
get the 600 stones. You can do 3
Yeah, so that-
rotations, and there's 2 LRs per rotation guaranteed.
yeah. So that 200 stones is going to get you what, 5 multis when the anniversary comes out, because it'll be 3 and then a free one and then another one. So yeah, that's the anniversary banners are usually pretty good. The new, if we ever had it, even though the 5 years were considered to have aged out very quickly, have we ever had an anniversary where the anniversary units weren't the new best units in the game? So probably want to save stones for that if you're on JP. And who knows, on global, maybe we'll get a joint anniversary for the first time.
That would be crazy. We need it. But yeah, my thoughts on the banner just really quick is I definitely think it's skippable. The big thing with the New Year's banner that has lost its value is that if you guys remember when the New Year's banner first came, it was like, oh my God, a guaranteed LR, because back then LRs were so hard to pull. Nowadays, they're throwing LRs at you. Like, LRs are not like the thing anymore. And the big thing that you guys said, out of all the units on here, most of them aren't relevant for the current meta anyway. So even if you're a newer player, you're better off either summoning for Piccolo, because Piccolo will just carry you through the game, or just wait for Anniversary, because that's going to probably have 2 of the best units in the game on it. Or, and if they're doing that new Carnival format, there's going to be 4 of the best units in the game will be in the Anniversary. So there's way better things coming, way better things to summon on, even though it seems like there's a lot of value. And there can be if you just want to build a lot of teams and whatever, but it's not going to carry you through the hardest content. So yeah, I definitely would agree with skipping on the New Year's banner as well. Yeah, anything else on that before we move on?
Nope.
All right. Easy A Gogeta and Easy A Broly. So, Minato, tell us why Broly's a god.
He sucks. Broly's not even a top 10 team.
Oh, what?
Easy
I
A's
thought he
not.
was a god. What?
Now, Broly's good. Let Minato talk about Gogeta, and I'll give people the
All
truth.
right, Minato, you do
I'm talking about
Gogeta.
Broly is like, he's not even, he's worse than full power Goku. He's worse than like S-tier Ultimate Gohan. He's not, like, he can do damage, which is nice, but it's like, he doesn't have a team. Right, well, you're not going to run him on movie bosses. Let's be honest. He's going to mess up the movie bosses build. His best team is Exploding Rage, which is not even on global yet, under the Kid Goku, like, leader skill. And he can actually be pretty solid there, but would you rather run Carnival Goku next to this Broly, or Carnival Goku next to Esther and Nama Goku, or next to physical Dokkan Fist Kid Goku? He just doesn't have a place right now where he's going to be really good. He really needs a good, like, Dragon Ball Super Broly partner, like an LR, and then I think he could be better. I actually think he could be really good in his situations. But, like, I don't even know, because I had this guy go into Metacooler Core, did a quad super, he took 30k on normal still. And it's like, okay, that's his best situation with support. He did 4 super attacks.
Really?
Yeah, and he took 30k normal still. And then this dude, I took him to Cell Max. He did 3 supers. He took 60k normals. And then what? So he's gonna take damage of normals. He does nice damage, like 8 mil, maybe even 9 mil. You could do that. He could do like times.
Quad 9s. He could do quad 9s.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
But the thing is, like, okay, it's good damage, but he's gonna either get you killed anyways, or it's also not consistent. Sometimes maybe he'll just not even be able to build up his guaranteed additional super attack. It's just, he's clearly gonna be like, his AoE state is gonna be the most important thing. He's gonna be really good for a while in Super Battle Road, these shorter contents, maybe even like shorter Red Zone content, like stuff like that. But I'm just not a fan of this guy. They did not give him enough defensively, and I feel like, okay, if he did that, but then he always took double-digit damage from normals, I would be much more like excited and happy for him. But no, he just doesn't. And it's like, well, at bare minimum, units should be able to take normals, or maybe if he did something special, like, sometimes Super Saiyan 3 Bardock doesn't take normals, like, for double digits every time, but he's a 50% support unit. In Dokkan Fist Kid Goku, maybe sometimes he might not take normals if you don't get lucky, but then he has his active skill, he has the stun chance, he has extra, like, useful stuff. This Broly's thing is his AoE that does supreme damage. Like, that, okay, who cares, right? Honestly, like, for the actual difficult content, I just don't like this guy. He's on no relevant, like, well, he's on some teams, but he's not relevant on these teams. It's just a whole mess. I think they really flopped with the Broly. Gogeta, they didn't flop though. Gogeta's very, very good. They handled him perfectly. They made his transformation the 4th turn, so you're not stuck with Super Saiyan, which, again, Super Saiyan even can just dodge your super attacks. Blue Gogeta, this man's doing 11 mil, 12 mil guaranteed crit attack stats with a 70% chance to dodge, can tank any normals in the game, so even if he doesn't dodge a normal attack, he's going to be fine with it. He leads the best team in the game, Movie Heroes. I literally went into Broly Red Zone and no itemed it with double AGO Gogeta, and he can't dodge there. So this guy's incredible. AGO Blue Gogeta. I'll let you guys kind of more speculate more on him, or not speculate, just talk about him more. But it's like there's a huge gap between how good Gogeta is and how good Broly is, and it's just disappointing. For Broly, unfortunately, Broly should have had damage reduction, stacking defense, something to differentiate himself from just being a damage dealer role, and he does nothing as special when even other damage dealers, like, modern damage dealers like Gamma 2, he's supporting nullification. He's just only damage, and he's the definition of a glass cannon. My opinion. I'm done.
Ningen?
Yeah, so I don't know if do I have to invoke the legendary skill issue, but I don't know if it's just a problem with Minato.
If you run him on movie bosses with his 200%,
movie bosses
sure,
with the 200% lead,
you're not gonna run him
gets his super attacks off, tanks Cell Max for double digits for me. So I don't know what Minato's talking about in that instance.
Yeah, but are you gonna run him on movie bosses?
If you get
realistically,
well, no, but
exactly,
that's the team that he's on. So
no, he's on X1 Bridge. Global moment.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, to say that he can't even to say that he can't even tank normals is just incorrect. Like, not obviously he's an RNG unit, so there are going to be instances where he won't tank, but he's not a unit that can't tank normals. You just have to actually get the additional super attacks. So yeah, like when you're tanking Cell Max for double digit damage, like that's pretty decent defense from the normal attacks. I think the reason why people are underrating him so much is because he released alongside Gogeta, so obviously whenever 2 units come out and there's a massive gap between them, the worst unit always gets a bit extra flack that I don't think they necessarily should. And then secondarily, the reason why people don't like him is because he falls into that category that a lot of units are falling into now. And we've talked about this on previous episodes. I talk about on Twitter all the time when it comes to people underrating units, is that he fits into this like niche. I can't even really call it a niche because it's like 80 to 90% of units in the game at this point, where he will tank normal attacks, but he dies to a super. And so because he dies to a super, there's a whole group of people that are immediately like, well, he's bad. Which, I mean, the thing that I kind of try and stress a lot now is that units have roles. Like some units are tanks, some units are damage dealers, some units are utility and support. When he's doing 4 like 9 million attack stat supers and tanking all the normal attacks for double digits, I'm perfectly fine with him doing that and then dying to a super attack, because he's not a defensive unit, he's a damage dealing unit. So I do think he is a lot better than people are giving him credit for. But on the flip side, I'm not going to say that, oh yeah, he's amazing, he's like a top 5 easy ATUR or anything. And I do think Minato highlighted some of the issues that he does have, which we talk about this a lot when it comes to how people rate the gods and the Super Saiyan 4s versus each other, is that in a vacuum, they're like, Broly is definitely not as bad as people think that he is, but the game doesn't operate like that. So he doesn't have a great team set up. He doesn't have a really great link, because realistically, he needs a really, really good slot 1 partner. And then I think people would be able to see much better like performances out of him. But obviously at the moment, he doesn't have that. And especially on global, where you can basically only run him on, I think, is LR Cooler his only 200% team?
Yeah. And
and yeah, like you said, like realistically, you're just not going to run him on that team, because there are better options, because he doesn't have the only link partner he really has that's somewhat relevant still is Int Broly, but neither of them are particularly going to be a slot 1 unit unless Int Broly's had loads of time to build up. So then that means, like, even in the video I did where he took double digits against Cell Max, I was just running Golden Frieza in slot 1 and then having Broly in slot 2. So unless it was Int Broly in slot 3, then he only has like Fierce Battle active half the time. And I mean, the thing is, he could still look okay in that situation, but like, it kind of comes down to, why would you run him in that scenario? You just run a different unit instead. So he definitely needs some help for people to see his full potential, I think. But I definitely think that he is being underrated, like, quite significantly by a lot of people.
I think he's good still. Like, if I was going to say he's bad or good, he's still good. He's usable. I just think that all these other units have a place right now. This guy is just... If we get like Carnival LR, full power Broly, that man leads him for 200%. You know, we got some good support units on there. He could actually look pretty good. Like you said, in the situation where he's under the 200% leader skill, he has a good partner. He could even double digit tank Cell Max. But realistically, he's not gonna be around movie bosses. He doesn't have Thirst for Conquest, big bad bosses. I don't like him on that team.
It's the problem with him being on movie bosses in general, is one of the things I said in one of my videos, is the fact that, like, if you think about all of the movies, it's what, him and Turles are like the only Saiyan movie bosses. So he's stuck on a team where like 90% of the units don't share like almost any of his links. So
and even like
movie
Turles
bosses isn't really a great situation. Yeah, and even
bad
Turles
bosses,
is going to have...
right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's the other travesty that we don't really need to get into, I guess, or because we could talk about that forever, about why none of the Broly units have big bad bosses. Like,
Broly, T-Y, and Lemo. Lemo's a big bad boss over here.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Broly doesn't have it. Chilai doesn't have it. So Lemo is the big bad boss.
Lemo's the big bad boss.
You want
bad boy.
You want to run what this guy was saying, so which is why I ran Exploding Rage, and obviously his stats do suffer because of that. But again, I don't like the move bosses. That's where our things differ, right? But you showed him in a situation where maybe in the future, if he gets a 200% team, he has a really good partner. This is how he could look like. But what I did is show him how good he will be right now, which is not where he should be. That's why I wouldn't even place him in the top 10 TUR tier list. Actually, like literally, while we were talking about this, my video went up and I had a quote tweet with my TUR tier list. He's not on there. But again, if he gets that, like Broly, maybe even that Broly supports, maybe Chilai floating around, he could look strong. But I think they could have done things to make him more better consistently on like maybe some teams where you want to get 200%.
Yeah, he absolutely should have stacked defense after transforming. That would make such a huge difference. Like, imagine when you get like the 4 super attack turn, and he's infinitely stacking defense. Like, he'd be so good.
He doesn't have that. It sucks. Or even just like a 30% reduction or some dodge chance. Some just extra smaller defensive utility.
It will never not be mind-blowing to me that they took one of the most tanky characters in the entire franchise and all of his units in the game are like glass cannons, basically.
Yeah, it is
It's
really
actually
weird.
crazy. Apart from Int
So
Broly to a certain extent, but obviously he's aging out a little bit now. But yeah, like this is the guy that like, tanks Kamehamehas to the face without flinching and doesn't have big bad bosses and doesn't have good defense. It's like, bro, come on.
it's just really weird, but I think he'll age well. And again, he could even shoot up. I feel like even as high as like 5 on like a tier list. Like it just he needs that partnership. It's really unfortunate for him because this is like the only Dragon Ball Super Broly we have like actually like standalone in the game that's like full power Super Saiyan. So hopefully we got one soon. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if like again anniversary was even Gogeta and Broly somehow, and we got the actual full power Broly we need for this guy to operate.
A standalone full power Broly who's like a slot 1 tank and potentially provides some support, and then this guy, he's gonna be going off. But
I agree.
Until then, no, I agree with what you're saying. Like where he is right now, he's obviously not great, but the potential is there. And I know we shouldn't rate units solely based on how good they could be in the future, but I do still feel
Look at
even
Kid
given
Buu.
that people are underrating him quite a bit.
Look at Kid Buu, man.
These units are like
right?
they're like a ticking time bomb, right? Like it's how long is it going to take to get this good partner they need, right? And if it takes too long, then
it's
they're
like we
outdated,
said before.
you know?
Yeah.
One last thing I want to know. It's like, I guess maybe from you as a global perspective, you're like, okay, well, he's good right now. You don't have to worry for the next 6 months. Me and JP, I'm like, okay, this guy, in less than a month, he could be power crept defensively and be absolutely useless. With like Blue Zone coming out or something, right?
Who knows? The new content coming out for the anniversary could be largely based around fighting multiple enemies, and then all of a sudden he's going to be super good.
I mean, who knows, right? Or because we got the Android 6 and 7 Nation fight, which I think is they designed that fight for this Broly. You can clearly tell because it's a like multiple person fight, right? But yeah,
I did no item that stage with Broly, so it was pretty useful.
I actually did one of my showcases with Broly in there. He actually looked pretty nice there. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Broly. It's funny, we talked more about Broly than Gogeta. Gogeta is like obviously more exciting.
I think it's because Broly
Gogeta's good.
Broly, it's because Broly is the more like controversial out of the two. Because I think everybody agrees Gogeta is good. A lot of people are saying that he is literally the new best Easy ATUR, and even if you don't think he's the best, you probably have him at 2 or at worst 3. So. Yeah, no one's really arguing that he's not crazy. He's got a good link set. He's on good teams. The only downside is the whole, it's just like the UI Goku memes. It's like if he doesn't dodge, then potentially you could be in trouble, but only really in, from a super or in situations where you put him in slot 1, because Minato did mention it when he talked about him briefly before, but like, especially when his passive is, well, I say his passive, his super attack effect, like stack, is fully built up. He'll tank most normal attacks for double digits, even if he doesn't dodge. So, yeah, he is just incredibly good. And I can't wait for the 5-year STR Gogeta to get his Easy A and then run them together. That's gonna be pretty good.
Actually, I did a rotation of him and Tech Vegeta Blue, and Tech Vegeta Blue actually looked pretty good there. Which is why even right now I'm like, okay, I kind of like Tech Vegeta Blue better than like Broly, because like we have a really good partnership with this Blue Gogeta on the Power Beyond Super Saiyan team, right? And you have Super Saiyan 3 Bardock floating. Tech Vegeta Blue did like quad 8 mil. And then he has much higher defense. Brother, he had like 750k plus defense. And then Blue Gogeta was doing like double 12 mil guarantee crate with his dodge. It's crazy. It's just absolutely insane.
Plus, I think once he transforms into Blue Gogeta, he shares 6 links with God Goku.
And that's a great running mate.
So against the right enemies, God Goku just sits in slot 1 and can't die, and then Gogeta just goes off in slot 2. So very, very good.
Yeah, part of what makes Gogeta so good, it's not just his kit, but he's got such great linking partners and teams where you actually want to run him. And unlike Broly, double Gogeta is a legitimate lead you can run because you got 2 of those monsters running around dodging everything and hitting the guaranteed crits, which is crazy. Now, all the Gogetas out there, if you go on Twitter, they'll just clip every time he doesn't dodge and get super to attack one shot, but 70% is still 70%. it's still RNG based, but overall, you've got a very good chance you're dodging out these red zone bosses, and he's very, very good because of that. And that's why I think EZA Gogeta, not only may he be the best EZA TUR, but he's also going to age very well. We've seen with UI Goku how well 70% dodge ages. Unless they start, unless this new hypothetical blue zone, like everything's going to start negating dodging. But as long as dodging is, for the most part, going to be allowed, he's going to age very well. So very, very crazy use it, and I love him. And Broly, I would kind of compare him to LR Ultimate Gohan in that I think he's very good. He's a very offensive unit. He's not bad. It's just he doesn't have a great setup. So it's kind of like comparing Gohan to Piccolo is comparing Gogeta to Broly, right? It's very parallel that way to me. Broly, I think, definitely will have his uses. And hey, if anything else, Broly's going to have World Tournament. He can always shine in World Tournament. Everyone's favorite mode. Everyone loves running that thing.
The funny thing is, I've seen a lot of people say that, where like the only saving grace for Broly is World Tournament, except I and quite a lot of other people only ever run full LR teams.
Right, because you want the points. Yep.
So I'm not going to use him there either.
Right, exactly. Like, that's the thing, because like STR Piccolo would be fun too, but yeah.
I said Super Battle. I don't remember if I brought up World Tournament, because like, you want to run full Rs, right?
Yeah,
so
yep. Yeah, but I'm just thinking of like my old school setup where it's like, you want to run Draco and Chaozu to save on items, and you just run your really high, easy to get 12 key AoE units. Like, he's very good there for certain players that maybe don't have enough to do a full LR team or don't want to waste all the Ghost Ushers. There's still value there. But yeah, for players like us, we're running full LR all the way through. But like you said, Ningen, they definitely could come up with more AoE fights.
One last thing I want to bring up, burst mode could actually be quite challenging. And one of the things there to get more points, like -3 key, -5 key, Broly gives himself 6 key and 8 key on each of his forms. So it's like, you could do that very easily, and Broly's going to be one of these units where it's like, doesn't even matter, because he'll still be starting off when he's transformed with like 9 key, and he only needs 12 key to super, right? You have 9 key prepared for battle, he's auto-supering even with -5 key. So that's also something I guess you could bring up, because but like I think global, you guys haven't gone this yet. The Bojack burst mode is actually pretty challenging and fun, right? So eventually you guys will see it, but you'll have a lot of fun with that, I feel. And then it's gonna be like, Broly could actually be a really good unit in there for sure. Whenever we get future ones.
Yeah. The thing that's a bummer is I think during the Cooler celebration, they had that one fight where you do like 5 waves of AoE robots, and it would be really fun to bring Broly into that, but I think that was a limited time event, was it not?
No, it's still up.
Is it still up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's still up. It's limited to the characters that you can bring. So it's funny that you mention funny that you mentioned that, actually, because you can only bring movie heroes characters. So funnily enough, I actually played it again just for fun, not for like a video or anything, the other day, using Piccolo's team and just seeing him destroy wave after wave of Metal Cooler.
So you can't even use Broly in there. It's a good AoE fight to test them out in.
I mean, it could be a good like showcase for like the LR Ultimate Gohan, I feel. Or like stacking in it, because Ultimate Gohan's on movie heroes, obviously, but
Right. All right. Well, let's move along. I know we're running a little bit longer than we wanted to, but we've got a few topics I think we can go pretty quick on, and then we're going to end with 8th anniversary. But next topic was just Red Ribbon Army Red Zone. What are your thoughts on it so far? Just any experiences you want to share. So Ningen, I'll let you go first.
I think the general consensus is that it's been pretty easy so far. I know the Androids one, 16 hits pretty hard. And the Cell one, apart from the fact that like the last 2 phases, obviously the super attacks hit you pretty hard, but like, isn't it like every single phase up until the last 2 he can be stunned? So
he can be stunned and steal.
So even his normals in the last 2 phases, they hit for less than 400k. So it's like you don't even need much defense to tank. So.
Definitely not that difficult. I posted a thing earlier. I'm waiting for the last stage to come out so I can do the compilation video, but I've beaten all of the red zone stages with the heroes team so far. So we're, like you said at the beginning, still pushing that heroes agenda, beating all of the red ribbon stages so far with the Hearts heroes team. I'm working on doing the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4's one as well. The only problem with doing the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4's super version of the heroes team is the 19 and Jiro stage, because like 3/4 of the superheroes units have Ki Blast super attacks. So that was proving to be a little bit annoying.
You gotta hope Great Saiyaman 2 comes a 4 actually. What am I saying? 2?
Great Saiyaman 3 is unfortunately I tried tried doing it today actually because after I did do it with the Hearts team, I had like I think 3 attempts left, and I tried doing it with the Super team, and literally all 3 attempts on his first turn, regardless of which slot I put him in, Great Saiyaman 3 got super attacked by the Int Jiro and took like 700k, and I died. So
it's okay. I'll do it for you, Negan. I got you.
But he is insanely good. When I did the Cell, I've done the Cell run with the Super type team already, and yeah, like when he's going off and just getting all of his like crit counters and stuff, he's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, so far they haven't seemed that difficult. I would say the harder ones are probably harder than the Heroes one. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how hard the Gamma one is.
Fight. I feel like because like
Cumber was the hardest one. But...
Yeah, Fuel was annoying too, but like Cumber definitely. I feel like the Cumber fight was harder than any of these, just because he has the type coverage, right? He has the physical.
Yeah, and the AOE is super annoying as well.
Yeah, so like you bring STR units for the final phase, and then his AOE phase is the EGL, right? So it's like you kind of get type covered with that. Your STR units get hit before the super. It could be really annoying. Stuff like that, right? So that's really it. I would assume the Gamma fights are gonna be like on par with like Broly and stuff like that, but we'll see.
Hopefully,
maybe not, right? Who knows?
Hopefully, it'd be nice to have a new like most difficult stage, I guess.
And I like that they're super class, so that'll be a nice change too.
I mean, yeah, one thing to say is that since they're super class, that might actually make it even easier because extreme class units, super class units would not take as much damage as say like Broly, because they have like the neutral rather than the type disadvantage.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting actually, because obviously we know that the units in the game are super type, but they would be the first red zone enemies that would be super type. So I wonder if they will actually just end up being extreme for the sake of the event. It'll be interesting to see.
I guess they could do that, but I doubt it. I probably not. I mean, it'd be interesting. I wonder if it's going to be like a stage 5 and 6 or a stage just 5, right? We'll have to see that too. It could be multiple enemies.
My guess would be that it's only going to be one more stage, so it's 5 like the Wicked Bloodline, and if I had to guess, it's going to be like Gamma 2 by himself, Gamma 1 by himself, and then Gamma 1 and 2 together as like the third phase, but who knows? Because I don't think they'll give them both their own one, because they don't exactly have like different forms and stuff, right? So how do you do like multiple phase fights against?
It'll probably be like the order they appeared in the movie. I was going to say it could be like Gamma 2 first, then Gamma 1, and then them together.
Yeah, or it could just be Gamma 2 when he fought Piccolo, and then Gamma 2 when he's could fight Piccolo Power Awakened, and then it could just be 2 phases of Gamma 1 in the same place, right? They doesn't have to be like different places or powering up. It could be like the SSR then the TUR, or like it can even be the free to play ones. Yep, the SSR then the TUR, right?
Yep.
Yeah, my guess is there will be one stage and it will have them both together at some point, whether that's the final phase or not. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the difficulty level for that one. I do think it's a bit disappointing, and it's the kind of the same with the Heroes one, where the final reward for doing them all is not really anything particularly special, because it's like a wallpaper and a title or something, isn't it, for this one? And there's no tickets, there's no support memory, so it's like I feel like that's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I feel like they could have at least done like a superhero like with banner units or something that you could pull tickets on. But yeah, that's kind of
after they did it with the first 3 with the Wicked Bloodline included. I feel like the reward for doing all of the red zone stages should always be one of those permanent buff support memories. I think that would
they could have done like Android's permanent 10% attack and defense. Like why not? But then they decided to do a wallpaper, which I think is fine, right? The wallpaper is cool, but not the wallpaper and that support memory. I mean, who knows? Maybe there will be one, and they're like, surprise, right?
Yeah, maybe
because it's like a heroes one would have been super awesome to get, and then this one could, like you said, androids maybe could be like, but they could do like a superheroes one, which would obviously be insane considering how good that team is.
Oh yeah, that would be nasty. But another thing, Global, you guys have that wallpaper for the hero celebration that JP doesn't. So that's all I'm saying. Maybe that could be the reward, and Global gets 2 of them.
Global W.
But yeah, I feel like Loki. What if we just talk about 8th anniversary now?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. I'll just one really quick thing I want to say I know. With the Red Ribbon Army Red Zone, the one thing I do want to say about the Cell stage is I do think it's actually a good showcase stage because he hits hard enough to show off defense, but then you've got those 3 phases where you can stun and seal. And it's nice because we never get to see units that stun and seal when we showcase them. Like, a lot of people probably forgot that LR Piccolo can actually stun. So, like, it's nice to actually see that activate in there. So I kind of like it as a showcase stage. So that's what I'll say about that. But yeah, the EZA Blue Vegetas are coming to global. Meh, we don't care about it. We'll skip that topic. Not really much to say there. They've aged out a little bit. But
hence, maybe Golden Frieza's coming next week.
I think Golden Frieza for sure is coming.
My guess is coming next week. We'll see.
Yeah, Golden Frieza is probably coming. But that's all we really have to say about that. But yeah, let's jump into 8th anniversary. So unless you've been living under a rock, basically what happened is they put out a teaser and it had a bunch of GT stuff in it. And I don't believe we've gotten any other teasers since then. So basically, let's just gather our thoughts. What does this mean for the anniversary? And do we have any predictions at this point? So Minato, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I don't think it necessarily means anything for anniversary yet. I mean, we saw GT stuff, right? But there could be multiple things they're doing. It could be GT related. They would have to probably do like Spirit Bomb Goku and Omega, which I think I'd be personally fine with. It just most people wouldn't really like that. I feel like in terms of anniversary, I don't think that's something they would pick for like a main theme. Maybe, but who knows? Now, what they could be doing is maybe they could be just counting down from like 7th anniversary down to 6th, 5, 4, and then they go all the way, like, I don't know, count down to 4th anniversary, the first, I said firth.
Anniversary, yes.
And then, maybe we get the reveal of the 8th anniversary then. Who knows? I would say let's wait until we see like a 2nd or 3rd trailer before we really start like thinking, hey, okay, this could be anniversary. But if I had to say what I want for anniversary still, give me Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Sword of Hope Trunks. That'd be sick. I even seen people say double Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Cell Saga, then the BoJack movie. I'd be down for that as well. Or what if they just do fusion? Like Super Vegito standalone. Why not? Buu Saga would be cool. Super Vegito Buuhan, then Goku and Kid Buu. I'd love that.
Right. And the one thing to keep in mind as we predict, what was it they said exactly, Minato, during the live stream? Is that the character will not be a previous anniversary character, or was it that it's not Goku or Vegeta? What exactly is that criteria?
They said the previous headliner will not be, or the headliner for the anniversary will not be a previous anniversary unit, or, previous anniversary headliner. So it's like, okay, what exactly do they mean? Do they mean I feel like for sure, like we aren't gonna see Super Saiyan 4 Goku be the headliner of the anniversary,
right?
Because we've had that twice, or like a base form Vegeta or Super Gogeta, right? So it could mean like maybe we don't get Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but we get Super Saiyan 3 Goku. It could mean there's no Gokus at all. I would assume it'd be like we got Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So then maybe we can get Super Saiyan 3 Goku or another form. I feel like the different, like, if it's a different named character, even, like, what if it's super full power Saiyan 4 Goku, right? Like, and then he does a super spirit bomb and he detransforms. That could be interesting. But that's really all I can think of. Yeah, really. I can't really think of what else that would really mean.
Sure. Okay. Ningen, your thoughts on this 8th anniversary stuff?
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like they were deliberately vague because it has caused people to just constantly talk about it and speculate about it, which is the point, right? That's what they want people to do. But I've said the same thing, that I feel like they could be kind of pulling a fast one where they're saying, yeah, it's not going to be a character that's already been an anniversary character, but they mean specifically that form or that, like, iteration of that character, because obviously, we've had fusing Blue Gogeta and Blue Vegito before for the anniversary, but we've never had standalone Blue Gogeta and Blue Vegito for the anniversary. So that's kind of like the way they could get around it if that's what they meant, which is kind of cheeky, but it's a way of generating buzz, I suppose. Now, if they specifically mean not those characters at all, then it does kind of narrow down the options a little bit. And like Minato said, a lot of people have been talking about like Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Future Trunks. Like those are two of really the only like big options when you think about like big super type characters. There probably are some that I'm not thinking of. Although I know a lot of people, I would be remiss if we didn't mention all the OG Dragon Ball fans that want it to be
True.
either
How could I forget?
Kid Goku,
Oh
Kid
my
Goku and
god.
Demon Piccolo, or Mar
I'm a
Junior
fake
and Team
fan.
Goku. See, I think that would be cool because I've said this before. Like for me, as someone, I feel like OG Dragon Ball isn't as hype as the people who love it think it is, especially in the West. And that's mainly because, especially I'm one of these people, Dragon Ball Z was the first Dragon Ball thing that I ever came across. So even though I have gone back and watched OG Dragon Ball, it's not as hype to me as Z and Super is. And plus, for me, I will summon for units if they're cool and I like their animations and stuff like that. But ultimately, I want to run them on the teams that I like to run with the characters that I like to run. And the problem is when you start dropping Dragon Ball Saga characters, they all have those terrible Dragon Ball Saga links. Like a new, like a teen Goku from the end of OG Dragon Ball from the World Tournament against Mar Junior. Like, sure, he's probably going to have like prepared for battle, maybe, but like I'm running teams that are full of like Super Saiyans with the Super Saiyan links and over in a flash and all this other stuff. So those units aren't going to fit onto the teams that I like to run. So I do think OG Dragon Ball is definitely worthy of being anniversary because it is the roots of the series. It's just at the same time I kind of understand why it's not as hype for some people as the newer stuff. The one thing I will say that I think is pretty funny, obviously we don't know just from that one teaser what that really means, but the amount of people like losing their minds over it being GT is kind of funny. Like, I feel like, again, GT, as much as I don't like it, I like certain things that came from GT, but as a whole, I am not a fan of GT. But things I wasn't it. I think Goresh said, or I've seen people saying it on Twitter. Like apparently, Japanese players were replying to that tweet, basically saying that if one of the anniversary LRs is Omega Shenron, they'll quit playing the game. Which I think it's hilarious. Like, why? I don't understand that mentality personally. Because, like, again, I don't like GT, but I've said this before when it comes to like movie characters and stuff. Any character who is the final boss of either a movie or an arc in the series is worthy of being a Dokkan Fest LR. Now, you can argue not necessarily the anniversary, but I mean, how long have we wanted an LR Sin that transforms into Omega? Like, it'd be weird if he was part of the anniversary, but I mean, why not?
I would say any fight from the Battle Fate category could be like a theme for the anniversary. So like even Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super 17 could be like anniversary Dokkan Fest LR and Carnival LR.
Yes.
Spirit Bomb Goku versus Omega Shenron, I think could possibly be a part of it. I mean, they would probably find a way to incorporate Super Saiyan 4 Goku in there, but I think, that specific section, the end of the Shadow Dragon saga could easily headline anniversary. It has before for the 4th anniversary. It was a major part of it. So I think anything from the Battle of Fate category could definitely lead an anniversary. That's my opinion.
I agree. My favorite concept that I've seen so far, I think it was Air Dokkan posted it, but my favorite concept that I've seen is the double Spirit Bomb thing, right? So it's one part, whether it's part 1 or part 2. I guess it would make sense for part 1 to be Z, but part 1 is LR Spirit Bomb Goku and LR Kid Buu, and then part 2 is LR Spirit Bomb GT Goku and LR Omega Shenron. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, at this point, as long as the units are good and work well on teams, for me personally, I'm not as fussed about who they are. Obviously, some options are more hype than others, but I don't think any of them would be huge disappointments for me as long as the units themselves are actually good. So,
yeah, I've got an idea, a concept that I don't really feel like I've heard people talk about. Now, I'll start by saying this is like 99% unlikely to happen, right? This is probably why people haven't talked about it. But a great way to get characters that have never been an anniversary unit and still have a lot of hype is go to the manga. So why not Moro arc? Why not Granola arc? And we have God of Destruction Vegeta. Like,
I think that's not really something in Dokkan's control.
Right, and that's why I said it's 99% unlikely, because it's one of those things like Dragon Ball Superhero. They kind of got to get permission to use the characters, right? And they haven't really ever broken the seal on the manga. But what if this is when they do break the seal on it? That's all. I mean,
if you were ever gonna, the anniversary is as good a time as any, right?
For
I mean,
real,
imagine
right?
Ultra Ego Vegeta, True UI Goku. We're getting
Dude, that would be, people would go
Would that
insane.
not be crazy? And then like Moro, Granola, like, dude, that's hypeness right there.
Yep. Yeah,
and seeing these characters, here's the other thing they could really capitalize. These are characters that have never been animated before. We would see them animated for the first time. How hype would that be?
Yeah.
It would be ridiculous.
Dude,
so,
yeah.
Well, final thoughts, guys, before we wrap up the show. Anything on anniversary or anything else you want to share?
No, I think I'm good.
You're good? Okay, I thought you were just jumping in there, Minato, so I thought I cut you off.
No, we'll wait to see until we get more information. I think it'll be funny. I don't know how long they're going to span out potential more teaser videos, but like I said, with the amount of people going crazy about the GT one, it would be kind of funny if they post another one in the next day or so that is like the gods and Broly, and then it's very much apparent that it was just a recap of the previous anniversary.
No, that's going to be so funny.
And people lost their minds over GT for no reason.
I feel like if anything, that's going to deconfirm it, and that'll just be hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the next video is going to be telling, because if we get another GT video, then it's like, all right, well, kind of maybe has to be GT now. But yeah, I hope they do more teasers. I feel like it's going to be a slow build up, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be hype either way, just kind of figuring out what's going to happen. So anything else, guys, before we hop off?
The only thing I would say is that if it is GT related in any way, shape, or form, it means that finally, a year after originally releasing, the LR Super Saiyan 4s would get some extra buffs.
I thought you were going to say finally a GT bosses lead that's proper.
Like for EZAs and stuff, like I don't know.
Oh, we could go into a whole like other subject.
Yeah, there's a lot of banner
we could
units
talk about
GT.
for ages, because I've said this before, and I know some people don't agree, but like there's a lot of sub EZAs that they could do, and I've seen people say like, oh, but that's not hype if they just do sub EZAs. It's like, well, but what if they're really, really good?
I mean,
like,
what if
all these
instead of
units,
making them sub EZAs,
like STR Trunks, physical
EZA.
pan, yeah, exactly. And then I think that's one of the main reasons why people don't like them, because they don't get all those extra stones. But if they gave them their own Extreme Z battle and then they made them really, really good, those units like the STR Trunks, physical pan, in Super Baby 2, stuff like that, like those units getting really good EZAs would be really good for those GT teams. But yeah, who knows? If it's GT related, there is still a bunch of stuff they could do. All I'm saying is, where's my new actually good Super 17? Give me my fusing Hellfire 17 and Trenchcoat 17.
But you know what, Ningen? He won't absorb key attacks, though.
No, he will. He will. And the person who designed him, they're gonna get the genius who designed LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and gave him Saiyan Raw. They're gonna let him design the new Super 17, and he's gonna have big bad bosses.
Yeah, like the SR,
like the random SR.
The SR gets it.
That's the one thing I actually hope that they do more, and I think it kind of goes back to just to cap this all off. I won't be too long, but it's kind of like what they did with Ultimate Gohan and the way his links are weird. The LR Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was an example of what I hoped they would do more of in the future, where they stop handcuffing themselves to like this particular form of this character must have these links, by giving him Saiyan Raw, which is weird that they took away Fused Fire, but the fact that they changed his link set compared to every other Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was awesome, and it made him better as a unit for some of the other units you wanted to run him with. So I really hope they do that more in the future, but it's been like a full year and they haven't really done that with new versions of the same character, so I guess who knows. But like I say, let that guy design more units in the future so they can actually have good links.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and see, but all right, we'll cut it off right there. It is going to do it for our show today. This has been episode 103 of the Dokkan Battle Podcast. I would like to thank our amazing guests today, Minato and the Masked Ningen, for joining me. My name is Joe Eggs, and it has been an honor hosting for y'all today. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.